Magic. Happy Friday, gentlemen.
And to
Welcome to
you,
Spotlight Fridays. Adam,
Happy Friday,
James.
Anna. Hello, Anna.
James.
Second time around. I feel like it's the loyalty months, full on, self inflicted.
Every month is loyalty month, Anna.
Very true, very true. But I have a double trouble. So, Adam, we had a lovely discussion last week. I had a very insightful discussion and very practical discussion with James a few weeks ago. And here we are, round two. I'm sure there will be a part three as well, very, very soon. To everyone who are joining us live, very welcome. Happy Friday. I hope you all had an amazing week and looking forward to having this discussion with us. So, welcome. Please drop your comments, emojis, say hi in comments, send us any questions during this discussion. So, we'll try to get into it during this session or straight afterwards. Shall we kick this off?
Yeah, ready.
Let's do it.
Amazing. So, I would like to give some context for this particular discussion because, Adam, I saw your post a couple of months ago about you and James joining forces and running the webinar about loyalty leaks. That perked my ears. I mean, all your posts perked my ears, but that particular one got my attention. And of course, I joined the webinar and of course, I listened to it. And it was so insightful that I reached out to you and I said, Adam, I need you both on Spotlight Fridays. Let's just talk about that. So that was you pinpoint everything that I talk about it every single day for many, many years and in a very succinct manner. And I would like to share with everyone who potentially goes through challenging times in loyalty and don't know what and how and where to look and how to calculate the ROI, that it's a constant topic of discussion with the finance team, that loyalty is costs, and go from there. So during the webinar, which by the way, we'll share the link to that webinar with everyone in comments after this live session as well. So don't forget. But you identified the out of many, the three loyalty leaks that you spoke about it. So there were what happens in the member journey. Very good question. How to calculate the COLO, and we'll unpack that later. And three actions to reduce friction. And I'm sure, James, you covered that off from memory as well. So if you don't mind, gentlemen, I would really like us to talk about the three leaks from sign up to first reward redemption, the expiry rewards, and inactive members.
Great.
James, can we
All
start with
right,
you?
let's kick off. So exciting to be here, Anna. It's been very exciting to work with Adam as well. So I think when we think about where we want to start in understanding the member journey, understanding where those leaks are, it's really an understanding of what that end-to-end member journey is. So what are members thinking, feeling, doing? What's your data telling you? What are your insights telling you? And where are those drop-off points that you can intervene in a loyalty program and get members back on board? So there are many places where that happens. It differs in every loyalty program, but working together, Adam and I came up with 9 areas of leakage, and then we narrowed that down to 3. And it's interesting to note as well, something I always talk about is you've got to understand what that member journey is, and then you've got to get people in your business, in your organization, wider than perhaps just your loyalty team, to understand that journey so that you can work together to fix it. And that's normally done through a process of visualizing that experience, typically through a journey mapping exercise. But only around 52% of people actually have a journey map. And of those people that do, only about 30% actually operationalize it. So, and I know we've talked a bit about wall art, so having beautiful journey maps but doing nothing with it, or having a journey map that sits in someone's top drawer. So you need to have some way that you can bring people on that journey. In any case, the 3 leaks we'll talk a little bit about. The first one is from sign up to first reward redemption. So this is the area where you really need to get members on board and get them to do something quite quickly. Adam, I don't know whether you want to touch on any thoughts around that, but it's one of the big ones.
Well, then just one step back on that is also to make sure that the loyalty program may or may not have a sign-up offer. So some programs actually don't have a, join our program, and when you join, you get 10% off or a freebie or something. So in this context, the program has got a sign-up offer. It has got something right up front, and we want that offer to be redeemed as quickly as possible. In fact, in my research, in the first 90 days is what I call the honeymoon period. It's that period where you've got to create the habit, especially if it's a program that's got a habitual mechanism to it. So there's enough of a carrot in it to create that habit, that earn, that redeem, that earn, that redeem, that loop. So the first drop off is in that 90 days where the reward is not being redeemed, so that the habit's not being formed, and that is a huge opportunity and or a cost, depends on how you frame it, because just maybe, Anna, this is where the COLO acronym comes in, which is identifying the cost of lost. So if you sign up 10,000 members in your first period, and for example, you have a $15 offer to redeem for a $100 spend, and only 10% actually do take advantage of that. Well, 10% of 10,000 is 1,000 times by the spend is 100. But what about times by $100? You work out the numbers. But what about the other 90% who don't redeem? And that's the COLO. That's the cost of lost opportunity for the uplift, for the spend, for the ongoing. And so you're going to do the maths very early to work out your COLO. And James, I think we discussed in that first sign up leak, what are the actions? Do you want to share some of what can we do?
So how are you going to stop that? How are you going to stop that leak? Well, probably the first thing to think about is, are you actually acquiring the right members? So it might feel like you're acquiring the right members because they hit, a CPA target and they hit a volume target, but are they actually doing those right actions that you want them to over a period of time? So that's probably the first thing to think about. And do you actually know what that, based on the above, do you know the real cost of acquiring those members? And then some simple things. Are you prompting usage across all channels used by the member? Every member is different. Do you know what their preference is? We may think it's always email. It's not. Are you doing push notifications, content cards if you're using something like Braze as a technology? Are you communicating to people in social media? Are you creating urgency? Do people know that they need to do something in a particular period of time? And then also things to think about is, are you utilizing social proof? People respond to people like me doing things. So there's some really simple ideas to think about stopping that leak. But it's a really important one, because if you don't get that right, you are on a very difficult path potentially in the future.
I'll have something to add to it. So one of my current clients that I'm working with, we introduced the welcome offer. And guess what the redemption rate was in June?
What?
8%.
8%. 8%.
Yes.
That's
yes.
low.
So
That's low.
yeah, I know. So when you mentioned 10%, and this is why so important to actually evaluate that and say, okay, well, is it low? Is it high in comparison to what? And then really look into it, where the friction is. Is it? Do we need to lower the threshold? Do we need to tighten the time frame, or widen it in terms of redemption? Maybe it's just too soon that we're asking them to come back and redeem that particular reward. So there is a many conversation can take place, but I would urge everyone not to ignore this, but actually sit down with the team and go through potential friction points. And if you don't know where they are, go to two teams in your organization: your retail team and your customer service team, because they will know lots of answers to many questions as well. But yes, all very good points. I just wanted to bring up that stat for you because it is extremely low.
And that's great.
But we're fixing it.
And the extra insight there. I just want to add what James said, which is another layer of cost, which is that he did say it, but I hope it's not lost on the audience, which is that acquisition cost to get your member plus the cost of lost those who come in. So that's actually a double whammy. It's like, we mustn't forget that we've spent money to get our customers to become members. Then we give them an offer, and only, in your case, 88% actually start the journey with us. So we've now got another aspect to the cost of loss, which, when you do the numbers, I reckon the CFO and all the business will then wake up from their dreams and start doing something.
Yes, exactly. Very good points.
Segue into the second leak, which is expired rewards. And Anna, you just mentioned then, the time frame. So I know this is something, Adam, that you're very passionate about and have a really good example. So I might throw to you to talk about that leak.
Yeah, look, expiry is a real tension point, and I've had numerous conversations, I'm sure all of us have had in loyalty land, of how long to give people. Should we expire? When should we expire? What should we expire? The CFO wants us to expire. The marketing people don't want. The customers hate expiry. It's the number 2 most, the highest friction point amongst our 21 frictions. It's the second most hated element of hated. I'm very strong here by members is expiry. But clearly, expiry works for a whole range of reasons. It creates urgency, Anna, as you said. It changes behavior. It does psychologically. It creates FOMO. I'm going to miss out. But there's so many opportunities with expiry, because my philosophy is redemption is retention. You've got to get people to redeem. The more you redeem, the habit loop, the extra spend you get, the engagement. So redemption is retention. And we've got to communicate regularly up until that expiry moment. 30 days, 14 days, 7 days, 1 day. Oh, by the way, 24 hours to go, before it expires. And this is where the real opportunity is, you can do a loyalty moment of magic with an extend the expiry. Hey, Anna, we've just decided to give you an extra 30 days. The tension drops. I remember with a cinema group that I had this ticket, that I got this free ticket, and it was getting to go to the movies, and I couldn't find a movie I wanted to go to. And so suddenly they wrote to me and they said, sorry, it's expired. I was so disappointed. But then I got a loyalty, so we've extended it. So I took a big, deep breath. So that you really can work your expiry to the benefit of your business and your members. So, I think, thanks for letting me share that, because that is a huge opportunity for loyalty programs.
Have you done any particular studies around the expiry time frame? What is better, or it depends on the business?
The latter. It so depends on the buying behavior. And there's so many factors. So if the category is a high frequency, you got to look at, first of all, your frequency, look at your bell curve of patterns of frequency, and then look for an average, so that you can then almost, you got to do some numbers around, well, if they buy 4 times a year on average in this fashion category, 4 times is about 90 days or something like that. I think, is the math's good? Yes. There?
Yeah.
So do we do a stretch? Do we say 80 days? Do we bring them forward a bit so we get an extra cycle of purchasing, or do we play within the actual frequency period? So the answer to your question is, it's very much contextual to buying behavior, brand, and range of seasonal and or other offers that are in play at that time. So it's not just a straightforward 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 14 days. Sometimes they do the crazy stuff. Here's your birthday and your offer expires in 14 days. To me, that's ridiculous. Think about just, the celebration. Some let people celebrate the whole month, or, the next 3 months you can use you got to really think about it within the context of buying behavior and the offer.
Yes, so it's a good point. Thank you. We're moving to leak number 3.
Yeah, big one. And I think you've got some points of view on this as well. Inactive members. So this is a huge leak. And what's an inactive member? Well, it differs depending on program, but often that long tail is significant. So it can be like 30 to 60% of members can be inactive in a program. So, how would we think about like the cost of lost opportunity? Well, these are members, and a lot of them have either transacted in the past or done nothing, which then, does sort of point to an acquisition issue. But if you were to consider 30 to 60% of members are inactive in a program, let's say hypothetically your customer lifetime value might be $500. That's a lot of customers and a lot of revenue sitting there that you can actually target, and is going to be potentially cheaper than actually acquiring new members as well. So there's a really big opportunity. So some things that you can think about is, are you using the technology that you have available, AI, to predict members who are likely to lapse and then intervening? So often prevention's better than the cure. So can you get to people before they become totally inactive in your program? And then, do you know the valuable members you want to reactivate? Typically, if you're going to offer something of monetary value to them, you want to make sure that they're members that you want to hang around in the program, and you can use RFM segmentation or something like that to make sure that your effort is going to be rewarded. And then the other way I think about lapse and inactive members are you actually dealing with that at welcome? So I did some work with a membership program, and we looked at members who were engaged and successful after 90 days and the things that they had done over that period. And then we built that into the welcome flow. So you want to get people to do all the things they need to do to be successful, so they don't get down the track and become inactive in the program. So there's a huge different opportunity and lots of experimentation needed as well. Different cohorts, different offer constructs, etc. But a massive opportunity around that loyalty leap.
This is brilliant. James, I think what we're currently missing on the market is that how part, because people somewhat know what to do, they just don't know how to do it and where to start. So you've shared some practical tips on that, and I really appreciate it. I have a couple of questions and one statement. So about RFM model, I highly recommend anyone who don't have a proper setup CRM system to at least capitalize on that. So all email marketing platforms offering that, and I use it on an everyday basis through Masters and Klaviyo. So that's a good one on recency, frequency, and monetary value. And I have a question for you about AI predictability. Have you seen any great tools on the market that doing a very good job with that?
So Lexa has a good AI tool, and you might know, Anna. It's got the AI tool has a name. I can't remember the name of it.
It's Lexi, I think.
Yeah, Lexi, but that will actually run across all your emails, all your automations that's running, and it'll actually surface you up insights proactively. So instead of having to spend weeks with an analyst or yourself going through everything, which you probably should do as well, it will actually surface certain things up that you can then use. I've also used Braze extensively in some of the AI capabilities, anything from understanding the best time of day to communicate best day of the week with a customer. That's a fairly simple one, but really important. Everyone's different. Also looking at predictive paths. So if you want to achieve this goal, different customers will go through different paths potentially to reach that goal. So you can say that the perfect sequence for Anna might be different to the perfect sequence to Adam, depending on content, depending on channels, etc. And you're able just to set an end goal, and it will predict which path to send you down. So increasingly different tools are building AI capability into it. And as CX and customer engagement specialists, it's like, how do you kind of leverage what's there as building some capability yourself in-house?
Yes, exactly. And not just chasing the shiny tech, but actually making sure that it addresses all your business and customer objectives as well. But yes, those for the CDP platform, they're obviously on the winning horse with that because it's easier for them to do. But in the absence of, I would definitely suggest for people to to do what you've just mentioned and have a look at different segmentations. The segmentation for you two would be easy to do. You're both swimmers, you both swim in freezing water. I'm not going to belong into that segment.
Well, they can come join us this morning. It was 9.8 degrees, James, and
Oh, very good.
it was pretty chilly, I have to say, here in Melbourne. For those all around the world, welcome to come swim. No wetsuits allowed. Sorry, James. Thanks for
Okay.
the swimming reference
Yes.
there for the segmentation, and I couldn't help.
Uh, Exciting but non-related news to this segment. We've seen whales in Port Phillip Bay,
Yeah.
which is amazing and reasonably unheard of. And also dolphins. So both Adam and I are hoping not to run into either in our chilly swims, because that would just be be a step too far.
Let's get back to loyalty leaks, because there's something I want to add to what James said, and he made a really pertinent point around, we trying to avoid getting to the lapse scenario by being right up, getting everything up front as much as possible. In reality, it's not always that easy, but it's kind of a mindset thing that I always think about. A mentor once said to me, with loyalty programs, from the moment you acquire a member, you're losing them. And that's essentially the mindset, because you're just, if you're always going to be thinking about the fact that you're losing them, then you've got to keep retaining. It's kind of like that paradox. They're coming in and potentially they're going to be lost soon. So, is it always about filling the funnel? No, it's about thinking about, retaining them as much as possible because of all the investment and effort. So I think James made a really good point around thinking upfront, not always at the back end of rescuing or win back. Which reminds me, and I remember when I first met you years ago and interviewed you, I always remember your talk when you were in your old career around win back. Do you want to share a little bit of that highlight story? Because I'm putting you on the spot, but it always resonated with me.
I can't believe you remember that. But yes, you are putting me on the spot. And plus, you cut me off because I did want to talk about dolphins and swimming with the dolphins, because I actually swam with the dolphins and
Ah,
it's the best experience. So I highly
okay.
recommend you. I
I'm
highly
sorry for
recommend
cutting you
you.
off. That's
There were all, I was surrounded by them. I don't even know how it happened, but I just
amazing.
want to make sure that there were dolphins and not sharks. But I survived. No, it was a lot of fun, and I will definitely carry that experience for the rest of my life. It was a massive, massive highlight. Back to churn, yes. In one of the brands, and my days at Brand Collective, we had a massive success through a lapsed customer campaign. So how we broke it down, and I'm just digging into my memory right now. We re-engaged with the customers after 6 to 9 months of them not being active and not shopping with the brand. And then there was a 12 to 18 months, and we went as far as 36 months. The 36 months segment wasn't very successful for us because they were far too gone, and yet they were obviously shopping somewhere else. But the 6, 9, and 12 months churn customers, they were generating hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Really?
and we incentivized them. So the ones that were just lapsing, they were receiving, I'm just trying to think, I think it was a $20 or $25 voucher. And the ones who were disengaged with the brand and didn't shop for more than a year, they were receiving a $30 voucher. Obviously, it was calculated on the average order value, which wasn't $100. It was higher than that. But we experienced a massive success, and when we trialed it, it was a proof of concept to begin with, and because it was so successful, we actually automated that, and we didn't have to think much. So we had a person dedicated, obviously, to all the journeys and campaigns, and they were just refreshing the creative, and we were reporting on it. But it was a huge success for us. So to your point, James, we just, yes, it's important for us to focus on high spenders and those people who massive brand advocates, but it's as important to understand why there is churn, why customers are leaving, and can they actually win them back. So I highly recommend to anyone to incorporate that into their journeys as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for the reminder. I
Yeah,
appreciate
well, it
that.
always resonated.
Well, and that's why look at us now. So the tables turns. I am now having the discussions with you.
That's right. Yeah, you cannot sit still. Everybody
No.
changes. We all change, and that's why I come back to that little mantra of, if the mindset is about, as you acquire, you're going to lose them. Well, you'll do everything in your power and in your finances to keep them. So yeah, jam on the ground is actually the little I guess acronym that I use, because people talk about low hanging fruit and they sitting there in the actives, the laps, and well, they're not only low hanging, they've dropped to the ground now and they've been turned into fruit. So they jam on the ground, they're sweet, they're ready, and your example is exactly that. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of jam coming back into the business, which was potentially sitting on the floor rotting away. A visual that I'd like people to always think about when they're rescuing or bringing back members that they think are not engaged.
Yes, but also imagine the profitability of those
Oh,
members when you overlay it with the customer lifetime value.
yeah.
We're talking about millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So, and let's just not blame the economy and everything what's happening in this country and beyond, because there is a lot of small wins and big wins that we can action right now with what we have, without even introducing the new tech. But literally, don't sit on too many dashboards, but have a look with how everything's integrated. Look at the journeys, the friction points, and how you can improve on that. I was shocked, James. I remember I was shocked 2 months ago. I'm still shocked because you repeated that quote. I actually had it in my notes to mention it today, that only 52% of brands don't have a member journey map, and only 30 of those take action. That's that's a bit of a shock, and I tell you why. But because we live in the world of AI, where automation is possible, and there is so much tech available that is making sure that it's somewhat seamless. That's a shocker.
It is. I mean, for me, it's the 30% of people that have one don't do anything with it. That's the one that really gets me. And I think you're right, Anna. We live in a world where we've got more data than ever. So yes, we've got the data. How do we get the insight? How do we get a view of things that we can rally around as a business and bring everyone on the journey? So not just the Martech team, not the marketing team, not the loyalty team. How can everyone in the business get around the customer? And how can we think of some things that we can how we can visualize that so people can take action? So I know we've off topic, but we've talked a lot about NPS as well. So it's the thing for me is knowing things and doing things. There can be a disconnect, and things that we can come up with as loyalty and customer marketing specialists to bridge that gap between knowing and doing is really powerful, because everyone comes to work with the intent of doing good things that are going to influence customers and the business in a positive way. So to be able to bridge that gap between understanding and doing is very, very important.
Yes, it's exactly what we spoke about, the how.
The
Yep.
how.
Very good.
Absolutely.
So, Adam, I know you have a sneaky 21 frustration PDF that
Sneaky.
are you okay to share with those who have
Yeah, absolutely,
attended?
Anna. The 21 friction points of loyalty programs we studied in 2024 in the For Love or Money research, freely available. I've cut it out and created a PDF of those 21, and also actually provided a value add, which is what I call a frustration reduction plan. So I've given everybody a framework to look at all the member frustrations. What are the frictions? How do they feel? The voice. I always have this thinking of the customer as in how they think. So we've got the way the words are in the plan is the customer talk, the member talking, and then what's the downstream impact of that friction point? Because all well, as James says, let's identify the friction, but what's the downstream impact? And when you start doing that, then you start to take that action. So yeah, that's all freely available, Anna. You can reach out to James has also got a copy, so either one of us can be contacted to get that. No problem at all.
Yes, let's just mention it in comments as well after this session that how people can request that. And I know on that webinar you also mentioned the 17 question loyalty leak audit.
Yeah, one of the pleasures that I had with working with James, it's a funny story how we met. We were online, you see these personas and you see James's and he's liking this, liking that. And one day I went to a retail media walkathon that our good friend Nick Hinsley put on at Chadstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And in the group of our select people, there was this guy and I said, gee, I've seen his face before. Where have I seen his face before? And it was this gentleman here on the call, James. And I said, oh, I know you. And he says, I know you. And I said, what do you do? And what do you do? And we both realized we were swimmers. So before we were trying to organize to swim together, we said, let's do something with our separate layers of expertise. And guess what? We built this little loyalty league. So it's just a little side story. And I mean, I think, you're an incredible connector. I always say that you connect people, that when you actually work with people that are, got the same sort of philosophy towards your area, 1 + 1 = 1,000,000. It just makes a big difference to everybody. And I don't know why I went on that story, but I just wanted to share it live anyway. Oh, yeah, I know why. Because we created together a diagnostic, 17 question loyalty leak diagnostic in order to identify the cost of lost opportunity. And that is also something that we've created. If anybody wants to grab that little diagnostic, they should reach out to James and I.
Okay, this is brilliant. So I was just wondering, when you first met each other in person, so how long did it take you to identify and realize that you're both swimmers? In the first 5 minutes, or it just took 50
Literally, as
minutes?
we were walking out Chadstone, we were chatting. I don't know how it came up. I might have said something, and he said, I'm also a swimmer. And I said, oh my gosh. So I don't know, James, do you remember? It was just at that moment.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Adam.
Okay.
Came up in conversation, and rest is history, hey?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Yeah, and before I knew it, you both popped up.
Yeah, dolphins and whales and 9.9 degrees. Guess what? There you go.
Yes, and here we are having a loyalty discussion yet again. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been such a pleasure speaking with both of you. This is not our last conversation, but I hope that for everyone else who have joined us live and who will watch and listen to this recording, they have a lot of takeaways from this. I certainly learn a lot from both of you all the time. That's why I was very excited when you both came up with that loyalty leaks concept, because it's very much needed and necessary. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
Thank you, Anna. Great
It's
chat.
been such a pleasure. And thanks everyone who joined us live as well. We appreciate you as always. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next Friday. Bye, everyone.
See ya.